I'm Alad Gilo, one of the co-founders of Reach. Cold Email Hot Takes is a mini video series in which we talk to inspiring sales leaders about their approach to outbound sales. In this week's episode, we're excited to have with us Alan from Revolut. Can you quickly introduce yourself, Alan?
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me. It's my pleasure. I'm Alan Ruchtein, and I'm the sales manager at Revolut right now here in Spain.
Amazing. Yeah, we're super excited to have you, and I'm excited for your new role at Revolut and all of your outbound knowledge you'll be bringing there. So one of the things that we experience a lot when we're doing outbound sales is just how overwhelmed people are by the amount of emails they receive, right? People are getting so much unsolicited cold emails. I'm wondering, what are some of the things that you like to do to stand out from the noise and get noticed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really cool question. In fact, Elad, what I always tell to my team is that if they are going to do exactly the same that other people is doing, don't do it, right? And prioritize other tasks. So what we are trying to do, and for sure the scenarios and the environment will change every day, but what we are trying to do is to be relevant with what we are trying to do in terms of the message that we are trying to share and send to the prospect or to the potential client, and to be concise and precise, right? To be current to the message that we're going to send them and the value proposition that we're going to add. Adding value, helping is the new selling that we would like to say always, and just standing out from the regular messages that we all receive every day, right?
I love that. So you're saying adding value and helping, is that, so is your approach really to try to be more consultative and really kind of help them solve a specific problem rather than just pitching whatever it is that you're offering?
Absolutely. Not only for calls and for emails, but for any channel that you're using, being relevant and always providing value, providing the point that they are looking for, because there are a lot of, mainly a lot of times that the client or the lead is not knowing what they are looking for, right? So, right. And mainly for the outreach that we are doing. So always give, and this applies to the give and get topic that we always say, that is always give, provide value, share some interesting points, and then you are always in a better position to push for a call, to push for another meeting, or to sell your product or service, right?
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. So I'm curious, I heard you mention obviously relevance, so it has to be very relevant to your message, has to be relevant to your prospect, of course. Mm-hmm. How do you view personalization? Is that really key in how you're approaching these messaging, or is it, as long as it's relevant, that's all that matters?
I would say that it depends. For sure, I think that the personalization is a must. So if I have to answer strict white or black, I would say 100% go with personalization. But there are a lot of times that we can't personalize every time because we have cadences, we have a lot of targets to meet, we have the pressure of the company, we have a lot of different factors that are impacting the way we work. So the relevance and the basics are super important to follow, like the subject lines, the precision of the mail or the prospection in the call, right? The way we are approaching the client, and also here it's where the personalization comes, right? Studying what we're going to send and not just sending whatever we want to all the different leads that we have out there. And this will impact also the different mainly products or services that we are selling at that point. But if I have to answer black and white, personalization, it's a must, 100%. Yeah.
And what are the types of personalization that you tend to use the most? Is it about the persona, about the industry, about the company? What are things you like to use?
That depends, so that varies depending the buyer persona, depending the ICP that we're going through, depending the sales cycle length that we have. So it will change mainly if you are going to big markets or to mid-market or to SMBs and to whom you are selling to. But mainly the personalization, as we always like to say, we are selling to someone, right? So either the company is so big or it's just 10 people company or just a startup early stage, we are selling to humans. So if we personalize to you, if we are talking to you as a human, we're going to get better response rates, better open rates, and for sure the relevance is important to add it here too, right?
Absolutely. No, it's a great way to kind of lower that barrier of defense from the reader and let them know that you are a human and you actually,
exactly,
right? It's important.
Exactly. You can add humor, you can add whatever you want, but at the end of the day, you have to feel like you are a human. You are not a computer behind an email, right?
Exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. So you mentioned this a little bit before, but a lot of people talk about needing to add value when they're reaching out. You really shouldn't be reaching out even on subsequent sequences or steps unless you're really adding value. I'm curious, how do you view that in terms of adding value to your prospect, and what are some examples? Are you sharing, I don't know, articles or
Hmm.
blog posts or something else?
Exactly. When I say adding value, it means going specifically to what we can do for you, right? So imagine that we are selling to this specifically ICP, right? So I know that this market, if you are going to use my product or my service, you are going to get X% better response rates. If I'm selling a CRM, for example, or an automation system, if I'm going to sell you something that you are going to save money or save time, I have to measure that. I have to tell you, hey, this is your problem right now. This is what's happening in the industry or in the market that you are into. And with the usage of this, you are going to be able to save up to A, B, C percentage of this, and this topic. So when we say adding value is, hey, we are solving a problem for you. We are saving money for your company, and you are going to get better at what you do. So that's the value that we try to provide for sure with different blogs, community, articles, also pushing for a call sometimes, so we can pitch that in a call and tell them what is that we are doing to help them. But it's mainly going directly to the point.
Right. No,
Hmm.
I very much agree with that. I think you should, every touch point is an opportunity to help or to share something that could benefit, right, the prospect.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
so we've seen a pretty big range when it comes to kind of how much somebody should follow up, and of course this depends
Hmm.
very much on who you're reaching out to in your industry. But I'm curious, in your view, is there such a thing as being overly persistent in your follow ups or how you contact someone?
That's a good question. I mean, as salespeople, we always like to say that, oh, you have to be persistent, you have to be resilient, call, send emails. But at some point, this is something that it's not worth it, right? So we have to understand at the first point, what is our ICP? What is the process or framework or system that we have in order to connect with these people? And we have to understand that we cannot sell to everyone, right? Our market is our market, not the worldwide market. So having that said, and that really strict in our ICP and how we're going to sell, I would say that based on my experience, Ilad, we would like to be persistent at some point in which we understand that it's worth it. For example, and let's go to a practical example. We have a different sequences in which we have a different touch points with different channels like email, LinkedIn, calls, and so on. Always multi-thread, super important, in which we can touch a client or a prospect between 12 and 15 times within 21 to 30 days, right? So it's mainly one per day or one per 2 days, each 2 days. So basically, that's the important point. Understanding where is my ending point, where I should be persistent, and where I'm going to put this client as a nurturing phase or just close it as lost, right?
Do you, in that vein, do you like having a breakup email, or do you try to keep it very open ended and just continue kind of touching them over time?
It depends. It depends. I have to say that I tested both, and I have a really good strategy. I can say that it worked a lot. That it's looking for the no. So most of the times, as a human being, we are trying to get the answer of the client saying, "Hey, yes, I want to buy from you," right? But sometimes you need to look for the no because it's in our nature that we don't like to quit in anything, right? So basically, I have a really nice subject line that I took it from a book that it's Never Split Difference from Chris Voss. And it says, have you given up on the project? Right. So, for example, if I'm in the breakup email, I will say, hey, Ilad, have you given up on the project? If you ghosted me, for example, right? And every time I send this, the prospect is replying to me like, "Hey, Alan, no, I didn't, but we are at this phase or at this stage. This is not the timing. So at least I got the information and I know what to do with that, right?"
Hmm.
So
I like
it
that.
could
That's
be it could be a breakup email, but it's kind of a mix between both.
interesting. Are you sending that even if you haven't had a call with them, or is that only for people you've actually had a call with?
Yeah, mainly for the second option, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you are saying, "Hey, have you given up on the project?" you should be talking to them, right? You should be understanding what they are into. But yeah, in the second option, yeah.
I'm curious, are you pitching in these emails? Like when you're reaching out cold to these prospects, how much are you pitching and how much are you kind of just starting a conversation, would you say?
I would say that most of the times, and again, this depending on the scenario and the environment will change, but most of the times we are not pitching. And mainly in the introductory parts or phases, in the early stages, we are not pitching because at the end of the day, you don't like to read a Bible in your email, right? So what we are trying to do there, and our objective is to get your interest, pick your interest there, and then we can jump into a call and I can show you the value as we were talking at the beginning, and then there I can pitch you a little bit more, right? So in the email, be precise, be relevant, just a couple of bullet points or some ideas. How can I help you? And are you open to learn more, right? So I will give you a clear call to action with a previous peak of interest saying, hey, you need to know more, please reply to me. So not pitching most of the times.
So this is a good segue into this question I want to ask you on, the difference between a soft and a hard CTA, right? You kind of, I'm gathering from what you're saying that obviously you're leaning more on the soft CTA, that you want to learn more. Yeah. Have you experimented with both? Do you ever use the hard CTA anymore? Or is that kind of done for you?
Well, it depends. It depends on the stage of the client prospecting you are. I like the hard CTAs, I have to say. They are completely straightforward and they are going to tell you, hey, you need this or whatever the call to action you're using at the time. And the answer will be completely yes or no, right? It's binary there. I like them, but as we are approaching as a collaborative way, as a helping is the new selling, as adding value more in a softer way, in a consultancy way, I rather go to the soft CTA nowadays.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I think especially when we're reaching out to somebody cold, they don't know us. Exactly. Asking for somebody's time is a pretty big ask when you think about it, right? People are very protective of their time. So even if somebody could be interested in what you're potentially talking about or could be solving, their natural instinct is going to be to say no, right? Like, no,
exactly.
My time, right? So if you lower that friction, get more build-in, right? There's a better chance that maybe on the second email you can ask for that.
Exactly. And there is a really important point that you're mentioning right now, Elad, is that at the end of the day, if we are not doing the first part of the email or the outreach correct, it doesn't matter if the CTA is hard or soft, right? So if I don't pick your interest at the beginning, if I don't have a really hook line in the subject line or at the beginning of the email, it doesn't matter. They are not going down of that email. So it's really important to go step by step, have this framework, do A/B testing, and get basically their interest in order to get that response, right?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Alan. This has been a lot of fun chatting with you and getting these great tips on cold outreach. We're looking forward to kind of following your journey as you help out Revolut and following you on LinkedIn and all the great content you're sharing. So thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for having me. It was my pleasure, and anytime, guys.